everybody, welcome to the Comic Game Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and today I'm here to talk about the news that came out of nowhere earlier today. Like literally maybe 2-3 hours ago, just out of the blue. Marvel Studios is in early development. Well, early development they have a director and a writer, so it's pretty full speed away. The ThunderBolts. Now, this has been a movie or show that has been rumored for quite some time. We knew they were gonna call them it's been rumored for quite some time. A Dark Avengers, a ThunderBolts. It's been in the air. It's been up in the air for quite some time. And R.I.P. to William Hurt, who played Thunderbolt Ross, but he was starting to show up in more stuff. Like he showed up in Black Widow, he showed up in Civil War. He was gonna show up in more things until his untimely, his sad passing. But it was abundantly clear that Marvel Studios was gonna do something with the villains because. Because it became clear and it became noticeable that there was a large amount of villains still alive. Ghost, Zemo, Bucky at one point. You could count Bucky, Winter Soldier in that category. There's a great Abomination. There's a good handful of villains in the MCU that are still alive. And it becomes when you really take a step back and kind of realize no, there's a lot of villains that are still kicking. Or there's a lot of heroes or villains who became heroes who are still around. You know what I mean? There's a lot of those. Like I said, it becomes abundantly clear that they're going to do this Thunderbolt thing, especially at the end of Falcon and Winter Soldier when Zemo was left alive, U.S. Agent is still alive, Agatha Harkness is still out there. There's a lot of villains still out there to be used. And, like I said, we heard rumors about this happening for a while, but some people thought there'd be two different teams. I always thought that there's no point of doing the Dark Avengers because, I feel like they're as I said it before, I don't think they're gonna call the Young Avengers, and I don't think they're gonna call the Dark Avengers the Dark Avengers. I think they're gonna save the Avengers name for when they make an Avengers movie, because if you start throwing the word Avengers around on a bunch of different titles, it starts to take away it starts to dilute the name, the brand itself of Avengers. And I knew, they're gonna just combine the Dark Avengers and the Thunderbolts to make one into one thing, and they're probably gonna call the young group that eventually shows up, which is also being teed up with Kamala Khan and Kate Bishop and others. They're probably gonna call that the Champions or something like that. The Champions, or maybe they'll call them the New Warriors, something like that. They're gonna change it. So, the same way they changed the Defenders, because the original Defenders, nobody in the modern day interpretation of the Defenders was in the original Defenders. The original Defenders was a supernatural group. Matt Murdock and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage were nowhere near the original Defenders group. And I suspect that's what they're going to do. They're probably going to call them the Champions or something. And just call them that, and that'll be your Young Avengers group. But this Thunderbolt thing is very interesting because along with it coming out who the director is, who is the director I'm not very familiar with, but hey, who knows? But I wasn't that familiar with John Watts. I wasn't that familiar with I was familiar with James Gunn. I was nowhere near familiar with the Russo brothers, so we shall see, Taika, I hadn't seen What We Do in the Shadows just yet. I saw it in preparation for Thor Ragnarok. So there are plenty of directors the MCU hire all the time who I've never really heard of before. But from the vibe I get, and from what I've seen that's being floated out, is that apparently this guy's pitch for the Thunderbolts was so great that they just greenlit it. Because they greenlit it. Whatever his pitch was so great, was so interesting that they greenlit it. They were blown away by his pitch, which makes me excited to see what he does. But as of the members of the Thunderbolts, Zemo who is still alive, played by the great Daniel Bruhl. He is the founder of the Thunderbolts. The founder of the Thunderbolts is obviously Thunderbolt Ross. Now, I'm curious of how they're going to get around that. Are they going to be called a Thunderbolt in honor of Thunderbolt Ross? Are they going to make it one of those? Because I don't think they're going to recast William Hurt, because I don't think they're going to do that. So so they might just like I don't think they will anyways. I haven't heard anything about them recasting William Hurt. So what they probably will do, as far as at least what it feels like they're gonna do to me, is gonna be something like, oh well, Hurt was putting this group together before his passing. Before his untimely passing, he was putting this group together. Like, that's the vibe I get, and that's what I think is going to happen. I'm like, oh, he was putting this group together before his passing, and we're going to name it the Thunderbolts. Now, they have Valentina, who seems to be going around recruiting people, and the most likely members of this group is going to be a combination of, most likely it's going to be Ghost, because I've been saying that the moment Ghost went away, I was like, okay, she's probably going to come back and be a Thunderbolt member. It's going to be Ghost. It's going to be Zemo. It's probably going to be Natasha, Abomination. Depending on what happens in She-Hulk. We got to wait to see what happens in that. See if he survives, you know. But yeah, it's going to Abomination. Maybe Baron Mordo. Baron Mordo's still out there. Who knows? They could do something. They could do something with Baron Mordo. Agatha Harkness is still out there. She's a potential. Bucky, Winter Soldier, he could bring it on. And another thing that I was going to mention, I think they're going to do Bucky. Like, what I think is going to happen is, it's going to be weird, because I think they're going to have a couple of, like, villains, and like, mixed in with people who have done mixed in with people who we know are good people, you know what I mean? Like, we know that Ghost isn't a bad person, you know? We know that Bucky clearly, Bucky's a hero. You know what I mean? We know that, you know, Natasha, not Natasha, we know that Yelena is not a villain, you know? She's a good person. So, like, they're gonna probably mix in, like, the dynamics with these people who we know aren't bad people, mixed in with these people, like, with people who are legit villains. That should be fun. Not to mention, I would bet right here and now, I'm putting it all on the table. There are a lot of Black Widow comic book things that never got done with Scarlett Johansson as Natasha that they're gonna give to Yelena. One being, she's gonna be in a relationship with Bucky. I'm just putting it out there right now. Like, Yelena and Bucky will be a thing. And I just get that vibe because there's something about, because they really haven't given Bucky a singular direction, because both of them are lost. They have this shared, like, I just get the feeling, and Yelena is more like the old school Natasha with the accent and the killing, with the accent and everything. It just feels like, at least I feel like they will, because, like, why not? I think that, I would bet money that Bucky Barnes and Yelena Belova will be a relationship. It will be a mirror image of the comic book version of Black Widow and Winter Soldier's relationship. It'll be almost exactly. And it's going to catch people off guard. It's going to catch people who don't know the comics and stuff, who don't know things, off guard. But I'm telling you right now, they're going to do it. Also, Zemo is going to scheme his ass off. I don't think Zemo's going to make it out of this first movie. And, because you know, like I said, the Suicide Squad, James Gunn's Suicide Squad actually did something that's supposed to, like, whenever you have a movie with a group of villains, like the Suicide Squad, one of the villains has to turn, you know what I mean? One of the villains, or multiple villains, have to turn and be villainous. You know what I mean? They have to do it. And as far as we know, Zemo would be the one to do that, especially being surrounded by all these super people. Oh yeah, Zemo's gonna, and you know Zemo's gonna, I can almost play the story in my head. Can't you kind of see? This is the advantage that the MCU's Thunderbolt movie will have over, you know, say the Suicide Squad. Which, to be fair, the Suicide Squad, James Gunn's version anyways, was really fucking good to great. So, you know, maybe the MCU's version won't be that fucking good. But one of the advantages the MCU will have is we already know all of these characters, how they act, how their demeanors are, who they are as people. So it will almost be like this fucked up version of the Avengers, you know? Because the Suicide Squad was just an assembly of motherfuckers we never met before. The only two people we knew on the Suicide Squad was Rick Flag and Harley Quinn. Everyone else was just randos that we had never seen before. And even Rick Flag and Harley, you know, depending on what you believe, aren't the exact same characters they were in the other Suicide Squad movie. But these are characters we know. These are characters we've met. Some of these characters we would have seen multiple times. Like if they do Yelena, if they do Abomination, if they do Zemo, we would have seen these characters multiple times. We'd have more context on all of these characters. So these characters coming together and bouncing off of each other, it is gonna be Avengers, like first Avengers-esque. It like the Thunderbolts, if done well, can be this fucked up version, can be this twisted, dark version of the Avengers and how that team formed. You know, and while that team formed with bright colors and stuff, this team forms under this dark shade because all of these every member of this team has done some dark shit. Even Bucky and Yelena and, you know, Bucky and Yelena, which sure maybe Yelena can sort of probably maybe sleep because it wasn't her fault, but Bucky and Yelena, even they're the most heroic people. When Bucky Barnes is the most heroic person in the group, that ain't good. That's a group. But I do think that, you know, this is what Sebastian Stan's gonna be doing. They've really been kind of kind of silent on whatever he's gonna be doing. I'm excited about this. I'm pumped for this. I can't wait to see. You know, they'll probably announce it in September when they do D23. So September, you know, can't wait for that. Like September 7th, Marvel's going to host their panel, so they'll probably announce it there. Hopefully by the time September comes around, we got a lock on who's going to be in it and who's going to be the leader and how the dynamics going to be. But I'm excited for this, dude. I've been waiting for the Thunderbolts for quite some time. It's so great to see it come around. I hope this works out, because if this movie is big, man, oh man, that'd be awesome. Like, it just depends on how they market it and how they go about doing it. Like, I'm excited for this. Anyways, thank you guys for the Comic Movie Show. Please like, subscribe, and comment below. What do you think about the announcement that the MCU are going through with the Thunderbolt movie? Who would you like to see in this group? Comment below and let me know. Thank you guys for joining the Comic Movie Show again. I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.